It's finally here, the long-awaited new album from Machine Gun Kelly. I've been waiting for this album ever since Machine Gun Kelly tweeted that he would be making a pop-punk album. Tickets to My Downfall is here, a major label pop-punk release in 2020. If you step back and look at it at a macro level, this is a very important moment for the scene. I don't think there's been a better chance in the past few years for pop-punk to be thrust right back into the mainstream as it was in the early 2000s with bands like Blink, Simple Plan, Paramore, Sum 41, and Good Charlotte. Will this album perform well? Will pop-punk be cool again? Will fans of this album dive into the younger bands in the scene? All these questions will be answered soon enough, but today we're going to dive into how we got here and if Tickets to My Downfall is the pop-punk album the scene needs. Machine Gun Kelly first tweeted on December 18th, 2019 that his next album was going to be a pop-punk album, and the scene exploded. Could this be true? Why? Ew? Everyone had an opinion on this. But why? It comes down to how passionate fans of pop, punk, and emo are, as well as, punk and hardcore. All those genres always get lumped together and people just laugh at them. People say, every song sounds the same, why are you so sad? All the cliche jokes that we've heard for years. But to the fans of pop, punk, and emo, these songs have gotten us through some incredibly dark times and been the soundtrack to some of the best moments in our lives. And while the bands we look up to as legends and heroes barely make enough money to pay rent, they tour non-stop, and they just are never going to be famous, but to us, they are. So when we see someone making fun of these genres or just coming in and using the sound to make money, the scene doesn't take it too kindly. Fans of alternative music are extremely passionate, just like Star Wars fans or pro wrestling fans. So when MGK says, hey, I'm going to be making a pop-punk album, the scene as a collective was like, whoa, is this guy an industry plant? Is he just trying to make money off the scene? Does he even like pop-punk? Is he trying to stay relevant? Look, I have no preconceived notions of MGK. I'm not the biggest fan of his. I've heard a few of his songs, but yeah, I wouldn't consider myself a big fan. But the marketing for this album worked because when he said, I'm making a pop-punk album, it was of course on my radar as someone who follows the scene, and I listened to the singles and it worked. They sound like pop-punk songs from the early 2000s. And trust me, I'm not the only one who thinks so. Look at the comments for any of the songs from Tickets to My Downfall. Almost everyone is saying the song reminds them of that early 2000s alternative music sound. There are hundreds of comments just like the ones you're seeing on screen right now. So if I'm a major label, it's clear to me that there's an audience craving this style of music that isn't really aware of the underground scene that I cover in almost every video. Also, I have to note that while not on this album, I Think I'm Okay featuring Youngblood and Travis Barker was a huge song, and the music video, whoever directed it, clearly is aware of the pop-punk aesthetic from that time, the early 2000s, because they absolutely nail it. I was really hoping this song would just make it on the album because it fits so perfectly. So let's hear what MGK had to say about this new pop-punk sound. Speaking to Beatroot, he said, there's definitely a resurgence of pop-punk. We've had hints before, but right now is the most guitar-driven production I've heard from the young generation. They're super emo, whiny, and poetic. All the things I love about early 2000s pop-punk. He also went on to say that his pop-punk idols range from Blink, My Chemical Romance, and Deftones. The one thing I wish MGK elaborated on more in the interview is what young bands is he listening to? Is he listening to new Neck Deep and State Champs? Is he a Stand Atlantic guy? The Story So Far? Was he listening during the 2010 pop-punk revival? You can't leave us hanging like that, MGK. So it seems pretty simple. He discovered some pop-punk and wanted to make a pop-punk album. He played it at a meeting to record executives and they seemed to like it, so let's get into it. Just a note before diving in, MGK did confirm in an interview with Rock Sound that a deluxe edition of the album would probably come out before the end of the year, and that's where we will see songs featuring Youngblood and Bert from The Used. Let's get right into the album. Forget Me Too is the best song on the entire thing. The dual vocals are great. Halsey absolutely kills it. The chorus is big, catchy, and anthemic. I think this song is going to be huge. Every album has a big signature song, and Forget Me Too is the song on Tickets to My Downfall. It'll also probably be all over TikTok now that I think about it. All I Know featuring Trippie Redd is, for all intents and purposes, an ode to Operation Ivy's knowledge. The song starts with the iconic Operation Ivy lyrics, "All I know is that I don't know nothing," and then that eventually becomes the chorus of the song. So anyone who thought MGK was an industry plant, here on this major label, pop punk album, he's shouting out one of the most important punk rock bands of all time in Operation Ivy. And I thought long and hard about this. There's no way it's a coincidence, right? There's no way that Machine Gun Kelly is in the studio with Travis Barker and he's singing the lyrics to All I Know, not knowing that, they're the same lyrics from one of the most popular songs from one of the most popular punk rock bands in Operation Ivy. Like, there's no way it's a coincidence, right? So either way, the song is great, and the shout out in and of itself is pretty cool. Besides the obvious not to blink with the "In My Yed" part in My Bloody Valentine, you also have two more kind of references to the scene, I think, at least. One of them are both from Concerts for Aliens, and the lyric here, or this verse section here, you have the Mind Eraser lyric, and I knew when I first heard that lyric in Concerts for Aliens for the first time that there was some other pop-punk song that had that lyric as well, and there is. It's Simple Plan's Out of My System. So if MGK is staying up late listening to Simple Plan deep cuts, that's something that I didn't see coming. And two, there's also a lyric here in that same verse where they're talking about someone, an expectation of going to law school, but then, not going and dyeing your hair. And when I thought about it, that's Steve-O from SLC Punk. And we know that MGK was an SLC Punk too. So coincidence or intentional, you be the judge. The album itself is really an ode to pop punk. It has everything that fans of the early 2000s vibe of pop punk want. Short songs, songs about wasting youth, falling in and out of love, and not knowing what to do with your life. The singles My Bloody Valentine and Concerts for Aliens are of course great. They're super catchy. Pop Punk 101. Lonely and Play This When I'm Gone are the two slower songs on the album, and they're not bad per se, but they're not nearly as memorable as the upbeat pop punk songs on the album. World War III is a Blink song. You listen to the first 2 seconds of that song and you know it's a Blink song. Why every member of Blink 182 has recently decided to write their best pop punk songs all under a minute, songs like World War III on this album, and then Built This Pool and Bohemian Rhapsody from California, all songs under a minute, and they're all great pop punk songs that should be longer. Why they are all under a minute, I have no idea. But back to World War III, it's again a fast-paced pop punk song under a minute. But don't mistake this for some big attack on politics. It's not. This isn't propaganda, anti-flag, or bad religion. Good song, though. What separates this album from the current crop of albums in the pop punk scene is its overall lighthearted approach. The album is fun, and that's what people remember about 2000s pop punk. Modern pop punk, your Wonder Years, The Story So Far, Turnover, Movements are just more serious in their tone, and that's not a bad thing, but you're not going to mistake those bands' recent material for the upbeat, lighthearted, life sucks but let's party vibe of the early 2000s pop punk like Simple Plan and Sum 41. Modern pop punk already has an updated version of the 2000s pop punk sound. It's called Easycore. Bands like A Day to Remember, Set Your Goals for Your Strong all played upbeat pop punk and just added screaming, which the really mainstream bands of the 2000s pop punk didn't really have. And now Easycore is almost looked at as some ridiculous fad that people laugh at in the modern pop punk scene. It all comes and goes, right? All ebbs and flows. You had that really upbeat style of fun, party, pop punk and Easycore, and then the scene transitioned to a more serious tone. And now you have MGK, this huge artist, going with the nostalgia and going with that 2000s pop punk and emo sound. Now I listen to a lot of alternative music, pop punk, emo, punk, and hardcore, and I really like this album. But for people who haven't listened to any of those genres in recent years and think rock and pop punk and punk is all dead, I think they're gonna love this album because it has the mainstream appeal of MGK and it has some features, some hip-hop beats, but it mainly relies on that nostalgic 2000s pop punk sound. So, again, for people who listen to pop punk and emo every day, I think they're gonna like a few songs here or there, but for people who haven't listened to pop punk and emo in years, I think they're gonna love Tickets to My Downfall. When it comes down to it, I think this album needs to do pretty well for us to have any chance at a pop-punk revival in the mainstream. MGK needs to take young bands on tour, and fans of this new album, Tickets to My Downfall, have to go check out younger bands in the scene. I mean, if MGK takes one of these young bands on tour, or even if he just tweets saying, you know, hey, check out band X, I mean, a tweet from someone as big as MGK, or retweet for that matter, could change a band's career. So I'd love to see MGK take some of these young bands on tour. MGK, if you're watching, hit the subscribe button, send me a DM on Twitter. I'll make you a mixtape of all the cool bands in the scene. I'm all on board on Tickets to My Downfall and MGK helping and leading to another pop-punk revival. MGK did say in an interview with Rocksound that he would, for the foreseeable future, keep making rap music and pop-punk music at the same time, saying it wouldn't really make any sense to stop making rap music since that's what, you know, has led to his success, and it wouldn't make any sense to just make a pop-punk album here on Tickets to My Downfall and never release another pop-punk song again. So it seems like for the foreseeable future, we're going to have a major artist creating pop-punk on a major label. And I know this is happening at a time where, rightfully so, we can't have concerts, but we have to look at the bright side. We have to stay posy, as it were. And I think the future of the alternative music scene is very promising. And no matter what happens, I'll always be here covering all the new bands in the scene. What do you think about the brand new album from Machine Gun Kelly, Tickets to My Downfall? Let me know down in the comments below. Please like and share the video, subscribe, tell your friends, follow me on Twitter, and thanks for watching.